If you're over 60, there's a good chance at least one of the foods sitting in your kitchen right now is quietly putting extra strain on your kidneys, and you'd have absolutely no way of knowing it just by looking at it. Not because the label is hiding something illegal, just because we've never really been taught to think about food this way. Your kidneys are two fist-sized organs working around the clock, filtering waste, balancing fluids, regulating blood pressure, and keeping your blood chemistry stable. And after 60, they naturally become a little less resilient to the daily demands we place on them. In the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through 7 everyday foods that can quietly add to that burden, why they matter more now than they did at 30, and exactly what you can do instead without giving up flavor or feeling deprived. If you find this kind of practical, doctor-informed health guidance useful, go ahead and subscribe to Longevity Insight right now, because this is exactly the kind of thing we cover here every week, helping you protect the organs and systems that keep you feeling strong and independent. Before we get into the list, let's quickly understand why this matters more as we age. Kidney function naturally declines somewhat over time, even in healthy people, simply as part of normal aging. Add in decades of high blood pressure, diabetes, or simply a diet that's been a little heavy on convenience foods, and that decline can accelerate. The tricky part is that kidneys are remarkably good at compensating. You can lose a meaningful percentage of kidney function and still feel completely fine because the remaining tissue picks up the slack. That's actually the whole problem. By the time symptoms show up clearly, a fair amount of damage may have already occurred, which is exactly why paying attention to what goes into your body now before symptoms appear is one of the smartest long-term health investments you can make. This isn't about fear, and it's definitely not about cutting out entire food groups or living on plain rice and water. It's about understanding which everyday choices add unnecessary strain so you can make small, informed swaps that add up significantly over months and years. The first food on our list is processed and deli meat. Think ham, salami, bacon, hot dogs, and prepackaged sliced turkey or chicken from the deli counter. These foods are convenient, they taste great, and they're loaded into sandwiches every single day across the country. The issue is twofold. First, processed meats tend to be extremely high in sodium, often containing several hundred milligrams in just a couple of slices, which forces your kidneys to work harder to filter and balance that excess salt. Second, many of these products contain phosphate additives, used as preservatives. And this added phosphorus is absorbed by the body far more efficiently than the natural phosphorus found in whole foods like meat, dairy, or beans. For kidneys that are already working a bit harder due to age, that steady phosphate load day after day, year after year adds up. A simple swap here is choosing freshly roasted or grilled meat instead of the pre-packaged deli version, or looking specifically for no added phosphates on the label when deli meat is what you want. The second food is salty packaged snacks, things like chips, pretzels, crackers, and salted popcorn. These are often the biggest hidden source of sodium in an otherwise reasonable diet because it's incredibly easy to eat far more than a single serving without noticing. A handful here, a bag while watching television there, and suddenly you've consumed more sodium in snacks alone than your kidneys were ever designed to comfortably process in a day. For kidneys that are aging or already managing some strain from blood pressure or blood sugar issues, that steady sodium load makes it harder to maintain healthy blood pressure, which in turn puts even more pressure on kidney tissue over time. It becomes a bit of a cycle. The fix isn't necessarily giving up snacking entirely. It's shifting toward unsalted nuts, air-popped popcorn with herbs instead of salt, or sliced vegetables with a flavorful dip, which satisfies the same craving for something crunchy and satisfying without the sodium overload. The third food is canned soups and processed convenience meals, the kind you can heat up in 5 minutes on a busy evening. These are some of the most sodium-dense foods in the entire grocery store, and it often surprises people just how much a single serving contains, sometimes representing a significant portion of an entire day's recommended sodium intake in one bowl. Beyond sodium, many of these meals also include phosphate-based preservatives similar to processed meats. None of this means convenience foods are entirely off limits. It means reading labels matters more than most of us realize, looking specifically for low sodium or no salt added versions, and when possible, rinsing canned vegetables or beans before using them, which can meaningfully reduce the sodium content clinging to the surface. The fourth food is dark colas and sugary sodas. This one tends to surprise people the most, because soda doesn't taste salty, so it's easy to assume it has nothing to do with kidney health. But dark colas in particular contain phosphoric acid, an additive used for flavor and shelf stability, and this is another form of highly absorbable phosphorus that adds to the overall daily load on your kidneys. On top of that, the high sugar content in regular soda contributes to blood sugar spikes, And consistently elevated blood sugar is one of the single greatest long-term risk factors for kidney damage, since it gradually harms the delicate filtering structures inside the kidneys. If soda is a daily habit, replacing even a portion of it with sparkling water, water with a splash of real fruit juice, or unsweetened iced tea can meaningfully reduce both the phosphorus and sugar burden your body deals with every single day. The fifth food is large portions of red meat, particularly when eaten frequently in generous portions over many years. This one requires a little nuance because protein itself isn't the enemy, and your body absolutely needs protein at every age, including after 60, to maintain muscle mass and overall strength. The concern is really about volume and frequency. Digesting protein produces waste products like urea that your kidneys have to filter out, and consistently large portions of red meat, well beyond what your body actually needs, can add unnecessary strain over time, particularly for kidneys already showing early signs of reduced function. The goal here isn't eliminating red meat. It's right-sizing portions, thinking in terms of a serving roughly the size of a deck of cards rather than a portion that covers half the plate, and balancing meals with a wider variety of protein sources, including fish, poultry, eggs, and plant-based proteins like beans and lentils, which tend to be gentler on kidney function. The sixth food is packaged baked goods and fast food items containing phosphate additives, things like certain breads, pastries, and fast food chicken or fish that's been processed and breaded. This overlaps a bit with what we discussed with deli meat and soda, but it's worth calling out separately because phosphate additives show up in more places than most people expect, precisely because they're inexpensive and effective at extending shelf life and improving texture. The challenge is that these additives are absorbed by your body far more completely than phosphorus that occurs naturally in whole foods, meaning your kidneys end up dealing with a much larger load than the ingredient list might suggest at a glance. Looking for ingredients with the word phosphate in them, things like sodium phosphate or calcium phosphate, on packaged food labels is a genuinely useful habit, and choosing freshly prepared alternatives whenever they're available meaningfully reduces this hidden burden. The seventh and final food is energy drinks and heavily caffeinated sugary beverages. These have become extremely popular, and it's easy to reach for one when energy is flagging in the afternoon. But energy drinks often combine several kidney-relevant concerns all in one can: high sugar content, high caffeine levels that can affect blood pressure and hydration status, and in some cases added phosphorus as well. Dehydration is a genuine concern here too, because caffeine has a mild diuretic effect, and if you're not compensating with enough water throughout the day, your kidneys end up trying to filter blood that's more concentrated than it should be, which is simply harder work for them. If you rely on energy drinks regularly, gradually replacing them with water, herbal tea, or a modest amount of coffee, alongside genuinely addressing whatever is causing the fatigue in the first place, whether that's sleep, stress, or activity levels, tends to serve both your energy and your kidney health far better in the long run. Now, I want to be really clear about something because it's important. This video is not telling you to fear food, and it's absolutely not suggesting you eliminate entire categories from your life. Kidneys, like every organ in your body, are resilient, and they're built to handle a normal, varied, enjoyable diet. What actually matters is pattern, not perfection. It's the difference between having deli meat occasionally versus every single day. It's the difference between an occasional soda versus several cans daily. It's the difference between checking labels most of the time versus never thinking about it at all. Small, consistent shifts repeated over months and years are what genuinely protect kidney function as you age, far more than any single dramatic change ever could. Hydration deserves its own mention here too, because it ties everything together. Your kidneys rely on adequate water intake to properly dilute and flush waste products from your bloodstream. When you're consistently underhydrated, whatever you're eating becomes harder for your kidneys to process, because there's simply less fluid available to do the job efficiently. A good general habit is aiming for pale light yellow urine throughout the day, which is a simple, practical indicator that you're drinking enough without needing to obsess over a specific number of glasses, since fluid needs vary quite a bit from person to person based on activity level, climate, and overall health. So how do you actually know if your kidneys might already need a little extra attention? There are some early warning signs worth knowing, even though, much like with the arteries we've discussed in other videos, kidney issues tend to develop quietly. Persistent fatigue that doesn't improve with rest can be one sign, since kidneys that aren't filtering efficiently allow waste products to build up in the bloodstream, which affects overall energy. Swelling in the ankles, feet, or around the eyes, especially noticeable in the morning, can indicate that fluid balance isn't being regulated as effectively as it should be. Changes in urination, whether that's needing to go more frequently, especially at night, noticing foamy or bubbly urine, or urine that looks unusually dark, are all worth paying attention to. Difficulty concentrating, or a kind of mental fogginess, can also be connected to waste buildup affecting the body more broadly. Persistent itching, unexplained muscle cramps, particularly in the legs, and a noticeable decrease in appetite are additional signs some people experience. None of these symptoms automatically means something serious is happening, and many have far more common, benign explanations. But if you notice several of these together, or if any of them persist for more than a few weeks, that's a meaningful reason to talk to your doctor and ask for simple blood work and urine tests that can check kidney function directly. These tests are quick, widely available, and genuinely one of the best tools we have for catching kidney concerns early, while there's still plenty of room to protect and even improve function through lifestyle changes. If you have high blood pressure or diabetes, this entire conversation matters even more, because these two conditions are, by a significant margin, the leading contributors to kidney damage over time. High blood pressure damages the small blood vessels inside the kidneys that are responsible for filtering blood, while elevated blood sugar gradually harms those same delicate filtering structures from a different angle. If you're managing either of these conditions, being especially mindful of sodium, staying consistent with any prescribed medications, and keeping regular checkups with your doctor become even more valuable habits, because the everyday food choices we've talked about today compound very differently when there's already extra strain on the system. The good news, and I really do want to leave you with this, is that kidneys are wonderfully responsive organs. Unlike some tissues in the body, kidney function can genuinely improve when the underlying pressures are reduced, when blood pressure comes down, when blood sugar stabilizes, when sodium and processed additive intake drops, and when hydration improves. You don't need to overhaul your entire pantry overnight. Start with just one swap this week. Maybe it's choosing sparkling water instead of your usual soda. Maybe it's checking the sodium content on that canned soup you always reach for. Maybe it's simply drinking one more glass of water each day than you currently do. These small, unremarkable choices, repeated consistently, are exactly what add up to meaningfully healthier kidneys 5, 10, and 20 years down the road. I'd love to know which of these 7 foods surprised you the most, so drop a comment below and let me know, or share which small swap you're planning to try this week. This community learns so much from each other, and your comment might be exactly what helps someone else finally take a closer look at their own habits. And if you know someone who could use this information, a parent, a spouse, a friend who reaches for soda or deli meat without a second thought, please take a moment to share this video with them. It's a small act that could genuinely support someone else's long-term health. Before you go, here's what I want you to carry with you from this video. Your kidneys have been working tirelessly for you every single day of your life, without asking for recognition or rest. Giving them a little extra thought now, through small sustainable changes to what's on your plate and in your glass, is one of the simplest and most powerful ways to protect your health and independence in the years ahead. If you found this helpful, make sure you're subscribed to Longevity Insight and turn on notifications so you never miss the practical, science-informed health guidance we share here every week. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. Take good care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.